what was your reason for leaving Ligwalagwala FM? Because if you are in Mbombela, you do radio. There's literally just 2 stations.
I wish there was some controversy to it.
There wasn't. Why are you always ready to leave?
I know when it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I'm not very sentimental about places, people, or things. So when I've missed opportunities, I just take a deep breath, drink water, and know that it wasn't meant for me.
Yeah.
Because if it was meant for me, in that time, in that moment, God would have changed the rules, shifted people, situations, and events to make sure that everything aligns.
Welcome to another episode of Dine and Dialogue with Lerato Molefe. I am out at the Garden Mbombela, and as usual, of course, I'm not on loan, and I didn't land here on my own. Okay, somebody is responsible for me being here today with my crew. And if you're wondering who I am talking about a lady that is known and loved by almost everybody in Mpumalanga. And I say almost just to be safe, but I'm pretty sure it's everybody. She does radio, she does TV, she's everywhere basically. And if you're wondering who this lady is, well, it is none other than Miss Mpumi Mbethe. Did I say it right?
Yes.
I want to make sure that I said it right. I want to make sure I said it right.
I'm not loved by everyone. I can...
No, but again, you know the people that just have those kind of auras. You know, sometimes even from far, I can misjudge you. But as soon as I get to be around you and experience your aura, then it's like, oh.
But you know... I often say your vibe attracts your tribe because it's the same aura that can repel other people because they don't recognize it in themselves. Oh. And so it becomes hard for them to embrace it.
Okay.
But fortunately, I made peace with not being loved by everybody from right at the start. I think for me, what's important is that I love me and that I go to bed at peace with myself. Nangabe kukhona lengimkhubile kusuke kungasinhloso yami kumkhuba kuyendeka because sinasihamba emhlabeni kuyendeka, but other than that, no. Sometimes even my kids don't like me.
That one is not, it's a given. They're not going to like you
know?
They're just going to love you like you know.
Yeah,
like you is pushing it, okay? So I understand that. Thank you so much for coming through today and giving me the time of day. I know that you're a busy woman. You just mentioned that you've got kids.
Yep.
And I also mentioned the fact that you're literally everywhere. So I don't know, how are you able to balance the two and make it work for you?
One of the women I really admire, she's a TV and series producer, Shonda Rhimes. And she once said, you know, people say, Shonda, you're a successful businesswoman, you're a mom, and how do you do it all? So I don't do it all, not all at once.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm here, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I might be missing a school event. When I'm working, I'm there, and I might be not tucking my kids at night.
Yeah.
Not preparing dinner for them. So I think we can do it all, just not expect to do it all at once. It's a give and take, you know, and often it's a lot of sacrifices. So you either sacrificing the home, or I might miss a gig. I can't take it because it's my daughter's first day at school and she's not going to have another first day at school. So it's just prioritizing, and it's seasonal, you know. A lot of the work I do is seasonal and it's flexible hours. So I could be chilling and dine and dialogue.
Yes.
But I started off in the morning with a meeting, research. I'm picking kids up from school later and I'll be home in the afternoon. So those roles and the hats move with...
You're just able to make it work.
Yeah, it's just balancing. Basically. Yeah, it's balancing. Yeah. And a lot of support. I think that's the one thing when I was a single mom for the bulk of my daughter's lives. I appreciated it and I was aware of it. I couldn't do half the things I did without the support. I have an army surrounding me, women and men in my life that are showing up for me when I need to. There have been times where I had to travel for work and my friend would drop my kid off There have been times when I am in hospital with one child and my friend is checking up on my other kids in the evening. So I don't take those things for granted.
Yeah.
I recognize the support I have around me.
All right, that is beautiful. I love that. And the fact that you do recognize and acknowledge the fact that there's an army of people around you ready to, balance you where you feel like you lack. So the entertainment industry, since uyithandze kangaka, uyikhethile noma yona ikhethiwe, because that's possible as well.
Yeah, I definitely think it gets in.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was a very talkative child. I loved school plays, drama, poetry, athletics, anything out of the classroom. I was there. And I didn't recognize it as an art at that point. I was just that kid that wasn't shy, loved being on stage, loved performing, loved speaking.
Yeah.
And even in varsity, when I went to study, I was studying media, journalism. I majored in sociology and communications. But I always found myself in the arts center doing theater productions. And that's the one thing I loved going to see as well.
Yeah.
Musicals, Broadway shows. But I still did not think of it as a career until I was working for a corporate company, and a retired English teacher who was my editor came across a press release that SABC1 was looking for presenters. And she's like, "Oh, Mpumi, I think you'd be great." I'm like, "Anna Marie, you don't even know what language I speak." And yeah, as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
So I found my way there. But even when I was there, it was just TV.
Yeah.
And I was excited. I had worked as an intern behind the scenes, but for like news and documentary, not entertainment. And so one day we were shooting Ises Corner, and I was told you have to go to studio and do like a promo interview with Usiqemeza. At the time, he was on the afternoon drive on Ukhozi FM.
Yeah.
And I was there. And that's when I figured, something about this energy, something about being in the space was electrifying and energizing me. I mean, what was supposed to be like a 5-10 minute interview ended up with me the whole show. And he said, "Why are you in the radio?" Like, "Oh, well, if the opportunity comes." And then the opportunity didn't come. I was on Ses Corner. It wasn't until Ses Corner ended and I was home in Molefe, and I heard people on the radio at the local community station. I was like, let me try, That advice that I got, I went to the station and I wanted to audition.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it to the audition because I had started shooting Identity, but I was shooting Identity on weekends in Joburg. So I had to drive back. By the time I'm driving back, the auditions had ended. They had said it would end around 3. I guess the number of people were done, and then the judges were eating, and I was told, "Listen, girl, ugutu phume TV, asingeni down.
Don't come here with that
attitude."
audition.
But because I was there, the guy who was doing afternoon drive there, Ubodlela at the time, Mongezi said, "Can I have you on my show?" I was like, "Oh, well, I'm here. I'm here." And I spent, again, time with him on air, had a blast, and the station manager was listening, and he said, "Wait, what? She was here for an audition? Give her a job." And yeah.
So you ended up not auditioning, but just getting a job? No.
Because I was just being
me.
the
space really did choose you.
It really
did choose you. I think one thing that I wanted to ask, so
it's nice.
There's a bit of excitement that's coming through, because you do know that we venture into these spaces because of the food.
All right.
I do love the conversations, yes, but I mean, the food just makes it better.
Agenda,
And food makes everything better. Are you a foodie? Would you consider yourself a foodie?
No. I don't. Thank you. I don't consider myself a foodie as such, but I do enjoy preparing meals at home and trying out recipes.
Yeah.
My poor family. Sometimes.
Are you not a good cook?
My kids say I am. I know better cooks.
You were just telling me about how the entertainment space chose you, and it wasn't really something that you set out to do. And you spoke about the kind of things that you enjoyed doing at school, but never thought of them becoming like an actual career.
Not at all.
Or did you go to Model C schools. I don't know why they call them that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I started school
Yeah.
at the dawn of democracy. So in 1994, I was doing grade 1
Oh, girl.
at a school where
Take out your calculator.
you were one of 2 students that look like you, and your teacher doesn't know how to pronounce your name.
Oh.
So I did not have the vocabulary for it as a child, but I knew there was something different. I had to take 2 modes of transport just to get to school. And ekhaya behlale phola lele se Malahleni, because I know there's a phola la Lowveld. No, phola lese Malahleni. So we'd have to take evening. In winter, you know, it's dark and the Highveld is cold. So like a maybe 20-30 minute ride to an office in town, where we'd have to take the school bus that left from there to Kinross, Sasolia, that's closer to Secunda.
Okay.
So I traveled as a 6-year-old, traveling nearly an hour just to get to school and an hour back. I mean, when there was a school right across from my street, I saw all the kids walk across.
Yeah.
And I think my mom wanted a chuniki tangara, because we used to wear shorts and a shirt, and I wanted a chuniki because everybody in my street would just walk across the, you know, chuniki.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand what she was investing in. She was investing in an education that would open doors for me.
Yeah.
And it has, and it continues to do so. So yes, the foundation was rather privileged, considering the environment I came from did not look like the school I went to and the children went to the school. And I kept changing schools. I think I went to 4 different primary schools just because, you know, we moved houses. If they got a better job, I went to a better school. But ultimately, I settled and finished my senior phase of primary school and went to high school at Grindale in Witbank.
Right. You made mention at some point of the conversation that your family did not really agree or like the type of work that you chose.
No, my mom didn't even like that I was studying journalism. Uyasebenza phi? Mpumi. With the news.
Yeah.
She didn't understand it, you know. And I had gone to UJ to do law.
Oh,
because that's what they said. Oh, uyakhuluma, lawyer. So it was either that or politics. And anyway, so
you would have made a good politician.
No. Comrade, bebongxosha, bebongshisa, bebongshaya, lalela.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love ingoma zomzabalazo. Think about me. I love struggle songs. I can go to a rally of all those parties if they sing na I ngahamba siyongena eMbombela Stadium. That's a weird thing, and I have since I was small. But so I registered for law and I went to orientation.
Yeah.
And boy, was I lost. I was lost during moot court. I was bored out of my skull.
Yeah.
And then in my getting lost, I followed a crowd that was going towards the auditorium. It was still orientation week, you know. And they were vibrant, they were colorful, they were loud, they were funky. There were a bunch of hippies. And I was like, So UJ, Kingsway campus is color-coded for the faculties. And they went into the auditorium and there was blue brochures. Now the law faculty had red brochures and files and all that I had in my bag. I first comments the blue brochure, and I was browsing through it. It had psychology, journalism, audiovisual, marketing, corporate all the communications courses were there. The dean came and was addressing the group of audience, and he was speaking to me. I could relate, and I stepped out of there, walked into humanities faculty, deregistered, that side registered, and that's how I ended up.
You made this decision on your own.
Yep.
Didn't call back home to say, man, change of plans or whatever.
I had to explain because nasekubuya le statement lesine makhozla.
Yeah.
I had to explain.
That's
no LLB. Journalism. That's where the question happened. But my uncle often said, sometimes
comfortable.
Sometimes your success will justify the decisions you made.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you, did you then from there feel pressure to say, I really need to make this work?
Absolutely.
Because of the decision that I took on my own, I really have to make sure that I make this work.
Absolutely. But I think also when we tell the story and it's all its glory, we don't talk about the hiccups.
Yeah.
There was a time where I regretted it. In my final year, first of all, comms, 500 learners could be doing communications in first year.
Yeah.
By July, half of those are gone because maybe they changed their minds, maybe they fell out, F7 was a thing, you didn't qualify to the second semester, whatever the case. So by third year, we were like 96 in the class, and half of the class wasn't there because people were at the YFM Academy, were doing media internships at Media 24 just down the road or right next to UJ at SABC. So I'm sitting in a classroom towards the end of second semester in my third year. I'm literally graduating in a few months and I am wondering if I'll be able to get a job. So at that point, coming from Molefe, my dad wanted me to go into mining. At that point, I'm like, maybe I'm mining. Maybe artisan or something. And at that point, your peers are working. So I'm wondering, or maybe I should have stuck it out with law. I would have been guaranteed a job at least, I think. So when I started having those doubts and questions, we were doing media law and ethics. Interesting that there's a course called a whole ethics course in media that everybody completely forgets.
Interesting of you to say that.
Just pointing out, by the way. So we were doing media law and ethics, and we had a case study of a filmmaker that was commissioned to do a film for the SABC, and then went into a whole legal battle to force the SABC to show their film. And he came to our media law and ethics class to show us his unedited version of a documentary called it's a book. That's a book. Thabo Mbeki. It was a documentary about Thabo Mbeki at the time he was still president. Sitting through that, watching him interview different journalists that I looked up to, I was reignited with a passion for this decision that I had made 3 years earlier. And at the end of that, I went and I Googled this guy and I sent him an email. I found his email address and his number and I wrote him an email, and his name was Ben Cashton. Yeah. Ben Cashton was the executive producer of The Big Debate, which would then be my first job straight out of varsity as an intern on The Big Debate.
Okay. Well, you made it work because you're here. But then also because you're here, it makes me want to ask, I mean, you've been in Joburg and that is considered to be, the main place to be. And you are here now. You settled, I don't know how long. Yeah. But you seem to have settled in the Lowveld and you're making things work. Why? How did that decision come about?
My kids.
Hey, that's what it all comes back to, right?
Look, when I first moved to the Lowveld, it was because there was an opportunity. I mentioned how I started in radio, Molefe. I only stayed in Molefe FM for 2 months before I got a call to audition for Ligwalagwala. So I was on Molefe for just on a Saturday morning, and one fateful Saturday, I don't believe in coincidences, Musa Sukweni was top 2 finalist on Idols, and I interviewed Musa. That interview aired on a Sunday, and the following Monday I got a call to say, you do radio. We're having auditions. It was around November. We're having auditions. Do you want to come through? And I came to the auditions on a Tuesday. And the following year I got a job offer to do the afternoon drive. At that time, I was doing weekend shoots in Joburg. And I thought, why would we limit our careers to geographical locations? Yeah. If I'm shooting in Joburg on the weekend and I'm working Monday to Friday, afternoon drive, I can make it work. So for 2014, I was doing a Sunday drive show with Shaba, Ligwalagwala, and Friday, 6 o'clock, I hit the road, babes. Ngiyolala ekhaya, ngivuka ekuseni ngimgcibelo, drive to Joburg, shoot, come back, sleep over at home, Sunday, drive back. Sometimes I'd have to go do voiceovers because we were shooting maybe 2 episodes back to back, so I could skip one weekend, you know. But in those cases, they would only be scripting the links later. So I would have to go in on a Monday to record the voiceovers that say, Kulel Vigi, you know. And I'd go into studio, do the voiceovers 8 in the morning, 10, hit the road, make it in time for the afternoon drive. And that was my life for about a year. So the move to Nelspruit, Mbombela, was not a decision at first, but then gradually, the following year, I had my second daughter, and pregnancy and that road life was not doing it. I had to make a choice. TV had 6-month contracts, and I wasn't staying in Joburg at the time. And this radio had offered me, I think it was a 3-year contract then. There was a time, once upon a time, when radio had 3-year contracts. It was a 3-year contract, so it was more stable. Financially, it made sense to then just move. But even then, I thought, well, I'm just here for 2-3 years, then I'm going back. And I fell in love with the place. It grew on me. And I still think it's probably my favorite place for raising children.
Okay. Really? That's the first that I've ever heard.
It literally is.
Yeah. All right. Now, you spoke about scoring your gig at Ligwalagwala FM. Most of us witnessed that. And then you left. What was the reason for that?
What's in the juice?
What was your reason for leaving Ligwalagwala FM? Because if you are in Mbombela, you do radio. There's literally just 2 stations.
Maybe to put some context to it, right? I wish there was some controversy to it.
There wasn't.
Such a letdown. There wasn't.
Yeah.
However, I do think the context behind it was things happened really quick for me, right? Look, I grab opportunity when it comes.
Yeah.
But when I came on and I did the afternoon drive. Interestingly, Shaba was one of the guest judges when I auditioned for Seskona. So meeting him again and then working with him, you know, I was 26 at the time, I think. And he was experienced. So I started on the drive with him, and it's a sensitive time now, you know, contracts are being negotiated. So it was around this time when I was told you would be moving to breakfast with Madumani the following year. And ultimately, you know, I think generally drive shows are huge on any station, but breakfast being the biggest. But Dumsani, one of my favorite people to work with, by the way, has a strong following. You know, it's one thing to have a huge following. It's another to have loyal, strong followers, because numbers are great, but the converted ones, you know. So he had a strong following. I came in and learned again. I think I stayed there for about 1.5 years. When Rise FM's then station manager, Tony Milan, saw me at a corporate event that I was emceeing. And at the end of the gig, you know, at the end of the evening, you're thanking your guests. Thank you, everybody. You've been a wonderful audience. My name is Mpumi Mbethe. You can catch me tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock on Ligwalagwala FM. Tony said, "You're on Ligwala." Came up to me, "Oh, you're on radio." He says, "I was listening to you. I loved your you know, I love your voice. I love your presence. But you do Ligwalagwala?" Like, yes. "Oh, the breakfast?" He said, "Yes." And at the time, DJ Sbu was leaving Rise FM, and they were looking for, you know. So he came with an offer, and I thought, look, I can afford to make mistakes.
Yeah.
In my early mid-20s, I can't afford to make these mistakes in my 40s. So if there was ever a time to jump ship, it's now. I wasn't burning bridges.
Yeah.
I had a better offer in terms of finances at the time, and it was also for me an opportunity to try a different space, you know. It was commercial, you know, and Rise FM was literally on the rise. Yeah. So I knew, and also coming into DJ Spoo's also got a big following. Yeah. Coming into his shoes, you know, was also a challenge for me. But very important, I did not burn the bridge when I left. In fact, I took the offer and I took it to my then manager and said, here's what's up.
Yeah.
At the time, he was going through his own things with the SABC, and he said, "Hambe jalo mlungu uyadlala." I was like, this guy, one of my favorite people, a mentor, and more like a father.
Yeah.
His name is Rio. I took my contract to Rio and I said, this is what Rise is offering me. And he said, go tell them to jump. And I said, no, never mind. But I trust him. And I went shaking, not very confident.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
And he actually said, I did expect a counter offer. And he offered again. I was like, I went back to him. They added. And he's like, look, something. And I went, I got the job. And I worked at Rise, cheese and Mpumi in the morning.
You know?
And we had fun. Zeng.
Yeah, because now, as we are sitting here having this conversation, just not so long ago, I came across a live of yours early in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like,
guess who's back?
Oh, how? You know? And I wasn't the only one. I saw in the comments that people were like, but I feel like people were more excited about the fact that you're back on radio than the, what happened? You know?
Yeah.
So I can tell now that you've kumbulaed home.
Yeah.
But before you tell me about kumbulating home, now take me through leaving Rise. Now, what was that about?
Yo, girl, you still want to keep your job? You want to go there? So, what had happened was...
Oh my God.
You guys going to cut this out, right?
No. It's content. Content.
Content. So, look, when I joined Rise FM, I had a blast. I loved it. I did not regret leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, I had fun. And mind you, somewhere in my Rise FM journey, my former boss joined. The importance of not burning bridges, right? And respecting relationships, because when he joined me, I have never worked for the same boss twice.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have, but back then I hadn't, and I was just as excited to have him. Unfortunately, he also kumbula de kaya, and then he left, and then COVID happened. When COVID happened, a lot of changes happened, and I can state it now. I got a nearly 40% pay cut. So I remember going to. Oh, by the way, the guy who got me to Rise had left, obviously. But I remember going to the then station manager. I'm not going to talk about him. It's not nice to speak ill of the dead. But,
okay. Okay.
There's a bitterness there.
I can tell.
I remember going to him and saying, dude, I have gone from what I earned when I started on Ligwalagwala. 5 years later, I cannot justify. I left for the financial bump up.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd gone back. I cannot be earning what I earned 5 years ago. I've grown. So has the price of bread and petrol.
Yeah.
And mind you, it was happening during COVID. So the emceeing gigs, not happening. We're all on Zoom. I felt the financial impact during COVID. And I think maybe a resentment. I need to let it go. It's 2025. Built up. There was definitely camaraderie with some of the, staff, because we had gone through something similar. And then there was, program changes, which didn't bother me, because at the time my kids were living with me. It worked for me. When I moved from breakfast to the 9 to 12 worked. I was able to send my kids off, come back just before. It worked, Yeah. However, it was the financial thing that never made sense. So even after he had left and other people came in and management tried, because I couldn't go back and reconcile what had happened 5 years ago, I sat down and looked at my papers and polished my CV and applied, and guess what? It was time to go. It was time to go. I knew it was time to go. When you have to get an energy drink, force yourself out of bed, you're no longer adding value to the space where you're at. And then when you're no longer adding value, you yourself start questioning yourself, start doubting yourself, and your self-confidence takes a dip, you know? And yeah, so I started phoning around and I said, hey, listen, back on the market, LinkedIn, polish, updates. And the first job that I had as an intern at the Big Debate had an offer for me to come back as a series producer for the biggest season of the Big Debate, 30 Years of Democracy, primetime SABC television, producing.
You know, you're actually that girl.
And I left.
And I left. Why is that like a thing for you? Why are you always ready to leave?
I know when it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I'm not very sentimental about places, people, or things.
Oh.
I don't get attached.
Girl.
Even my kids have if I could cut the umbilical cord after I gave birth to you, listen, you're on a grace period. I am only responsible for you and your well-being until you're 18. From 18, I'm a consultative parent. I'm a support parent. From 21, if you haven't figured out what you want in your life, it's your journey. So,
but then is that what you got from your mom?
No, my mother's clingy. My mom was overbearing. I think I have that because I said, my mom can suffocate you with love. My mother, she lost her mom when she was very young.
Yeah.
So she wanted to be the mom she longed for. And I couldn't wait to leave home because she was like, girl, can I have some space? So yeah, I'm not attached. But also I think it's probably a childhood trauma response because moving around as a child so often, you make friends, now you start again. You make friends, now you start again. So I was like, you know what? Let me just not get attached. That way there's no detachment issues when I leave. But like I said, Mbombela has sunk under my skin.
Okay. What do you love the most about the work that you do? All the work that you do.
I'm a freelance researcher, and it has taken me to the length and breadth of the country to meet from a CEO to a school caretaker, the gardener, and the conversations, listen, you can dine and have dialogues with everybody from here to Cairo. So I love that aspect of it. I love the flexibility of it. I love the fact that I could be here in the morning, somewhere else in the afternoon. The prospect of meeting different people. I mean, I'm a communicator at heart.
Yeah.
So whether we're having a conversation and my chips are getting cold,
and why are you not eating your chips?
I'm on the phone. Because I love to talk. So all the jobs that I do somehow enable or allow me to talk, and I can talk for free.
But you know what my problem is? My problem is when we're done here, you're going to have to tell me how your meal was.
Oh. But I told you when we started.
You're going to have to tell me how your meal was.
And we used to pick this up. No, you can find it like on the grassy patches.
And now you're eating
it's nice. My meal's nice. It's got my favorite thing, avocado. You can have avocado on anything.
All right. What do you do when you're not Mpumi Mbethe that we see?
I'm always Mpumi.
No, not the one that you give to us.
Always Mpumi.
Serious?
Even the one at home.
Yeah? This is the same person?
Same person, same energy.
And I can actually believe that.
My kids
can actually. Do you ever feel like you're lucky to be you and be loved by so many people? Because you don't switch it on and switch it off. You're literally this person and so many people like you, you know?
That was also a decision. I figured, listen, if you're going to like me in character, I'm going to have difficulty staying in character.
Yeah.
I would rather, this is me. If you don't like me, at least we're not even trying, you know? But it wasn't a thing to go out and be liked. I never thought about it that way. But what I love, what you said, is that I don't have to switch up. I often hear colleagues sounding different on air than when you're having a conversation. And I always ask mom or friends, do I sound different? Like when you hear me on the radio, do you know it's me? I didn't have a stage name.
Yeah.
I was just Mpumi. And someone said, yeah, but what do they call you on the radio? Mpumi.
Just Mpumi. You know, I love that you said that. We had to do a recording for business and whatnot. So we had to put on our voices and whatnot. So everyone has like their name. So my producer asked me like, so who are you? And I was like, I'm just Lerato here. And he went there and he edited on the script. Like, literally, I had to say, and I'm just Lerato. And I was like,
And I am.
It's crazy, but I do like it. It makes sense because I am just Lerato Molefe.
Because
like,
I've always felt, now I'm just like, so when I have a character name, switch on.
You know?
And I would lose the plot.
Yeah.
So I'm just Mpumi. I'm Mpumi. Even at home, I'm the mom that screams and shouts, and sometimes I give hidings.
You do that? Okay, but listen,
after very many warnings,
you'll give a hiding. Yeah, I mean, I try with my eyes. They normally work, but yeah, you know, they work because they, you know, so very scary. My eyes, I use them a lot. It's just the trick is with my youngest, it doesn't bite. Really doesn't. I think they evolve
you lose it
with years.
over time.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Try the
now speaking about time, you've been around for the longest time, but you've been relevant for the longest time.
I've often questioned it.
How do you do it? How do you change with time to still be relevant to me and be relevant to whoever was listening to you back in, you know, like how do you do that? How do you keep up?
One of the senior producers I worked with on this on the Big Debate actually said, I watched you on Sescon. I'm like, you look like you're my age. Don't be talking like you watched me like
you were young at that time.
Your colleague, my friend Kotlang, often says she would remind me how old I am. She's like, we're like a decade apart now. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm almost 40. In 2 years, I turn 40. I think, again, it goes back to just being you. I've never thought about evolving.
Yeah.
I've always said, guys, I'm not that girl that tries to keep up with the Kardashians.
Oh, yeah.
I don't walk around looking like a billboard. I envy people that do. But because I've always been myself, I've evolved as everybody evolves. And maybe in that evolution, people can relate.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you think that's what makes you relatable to people?
I think relatable is probably better describing than liked by everyone. But I think we can all relate. I've never tried to be perfect. And I've always respected other people. I'd like to believe that I've always respected other people. That's ultimately what we all want.
Yeah. I think time is not on our side. Time. Very much so. But before I let you go, you know, I want for you, firstly, share with me, what are you working on personally right now that is like your biggest project that's closest to your heart?
A book that should have been published 15 years ago, but I wasn't ready. I started sharing snippets on it on social media, but stopped. It's a book that initially was about my life experience, but in sharing the snippets, I found that other people relate, and I started getting curious about other people. So yes, long overdue, but hopefully we can put that to bed this year. That's the closest thing to my heart.
Yeah.
Being a present mom and a supporting partner, supportive partner, are things that I think I want to be more intentional about this year. My family's been very understanding. My husband's been very understanding. But this year was a year that I decided I want to.
Let me be the one that gives it back this time around. Intentionally.
Yes. And okay, apart from work, when does this air? Because like I said, you know, radio, come 1st April, things are happening. So I'm a bit gagged on that, but I would love to throw myself into what's coming after April.
What's coming?
After April.
What's coming? All right. But then this is more of you on radio, right? I'm guessing. What's coming?
After April.
Boom.
I also want to do more corporate. I do corporate emceeing. And I'm a voiceover artist, a commercial voiceover artist. So I want to do more of those things.
All right. Now, you can look into your camera and speak to everybody that loves and follows Mpumi and make them feel good about whatever it is that they're doing right now, whatever it is they're planning to do. And yeah, man.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of people know I love books. What I don't know, there's such pressure. I feel good.
Yeah.
Vuka
Make them feel good.
again. All right. Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you so much. I think one of the most humbling experiences for me was I got into this industry on a presenter search. So right from the start, I knew that there were people who did not know me that decided to vote for me and thought I had something to offer, and I will always be appreciative of that. And some of those people have followed my journey, my career, and continue to support me till this day. And I'm both humbled and extremely appreciative of that. My philosophy is what is meant for me will always find me, and whatever misses me was never mine to begin with. So when I've missed opportunities, I just take a deep breath, drink water, and know that it wasn't meant for me. Because if it was meant for me, in that time, in that moment, God would have changed the rules, shifted people, situations, and events to make sure that everything aligns. And I hope that's what you take with you as well.
3 words. And then an answer, like, I give you a word, then
I saw this part.
you tell me what it means to you. Okay, firstly, principle.
Whether you are seen doing it or not, integrity. It's who you are.
Yeah. All right. God.
Everything. Forgiving. Ekhaya bathi uNkulunkulu uyangenda mina. I don't know what it is in other languages, but it literally means invo naseyowa ayibambi.
Yeah.
That's me and God.
Yeah. Love it. And then last one, family.
The foundation. I've got 2 brothers. I'm sandwiched between the boys. They are my critics, my fans. I cry. Just yesterday, I sent my youngest brother a long text and sobbed my eyeballs out, and he replied with 1 line and had me crying even more. Coming here, my husband dropped me off and then I had to go. So family for me is what? Function. It has to function. Yeah.
Right, that is that. Ladies and gentlemen, Mpumi Mbethe was joining me on Dine Dialogue today. Unfortunately, because of time, if I tell you about everything that has transpired in this interview, but it's fine. I had such a look at you shake your head. I had such a great time with you. I always suspected that I would, so I'm glad to have had the opportunity. I am hopeful that we'll meet again.
Definitely.
Yeah, and have more chats. But yeah, before I let you go, you're gonna have to tell me and everyone who is watching, since you're the one that brought us here. Firstly, why?
I came to this place because they had a book launch with a life coach and loved the space.
Yeah.
Came back for another book. So for some reason, I've been here only for books. This is the first time I'm here for myself.
Okay.
And food.
Okay. Okay. Now that we've got the why part, you're going to have to tell me from 1 to 10. What do you think about your meal?
I enjoyed the quota that I had. Look, I had some of it. It was more yada yada, less eating. I really, really did. I'm going to take this away.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed some of your fish that I had. So on a scale, give the chef a 9.
A 9.
Yeah.
That
Just
is
because.
clean. No complaints there. My meal is even different. Just to put it out there, it's not the original meal that I ordered.
We were sharing.
Yeah, it got spiced up.
You marinated it.
Yeah, it got marinated. So, but still, the fact that it was good even after it got marinated means that it's just. So I'll also give it a clean 9. Yeah,
nice.
I think Naming Hambilana now. But for me, it's a 9 because I made a very bad decision with the drink. I was trying to be clean. So yeah, it's a clean 9. Great food. We are at the Garden Mbombela, so you do want to bring yourself over and have a good time. The space is very intimate, whether you're in or out. Very intimate space. I think you've seen a lot of pictures on social media. I'm about to take pictures myself. So yeah, we're done for today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and comment down below. And yeah, man, come back next time.